morning, and thank you for tuning in to another live edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. Wealth Building Wednesday is a production brought to you by TRHT Selma. TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. And that's exactly what we hope to do with every single broadcast of Wealth Building Wednesday, is to transform our community by connecting you to information that you can use to improve your opportunities in regards to your personal finances. If you're a small business owner, we have done several episodes dedicated to that. And this morning, we are following suit and have an amazing guest, Mr. Demetrius Jennings from Hope Credit Union. Want to thank you and welcome you. Good morning. Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. How is everyone this morning? And I'm ecstatic to be here with you all and share all of the knowledge that I have, whether it's with financing, whether it's with savings. I'm ecstatic to be here with you all today.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to the people, honey, because what we want to do is make sure that folks have the information that they need in order to build wealth. The Wealth Building Wednesday actually started as a series. Some of us engaged with TRHT work here in Selma. We're having conversations a lot about the wealth gap. And we have to admit that as a country, Black folks have basically been behind the eight ball from the beginning, right? Black people and other communities of color, but particularly Black people, because we literally worked for hundreds of years. And then, there was this legislation around 40 acres and a mule, which was never distributed, but yet and still during Reconstruction, Black people took ownership of more land then than we do now. And what we want to do is to encourage, especially again, communities of color, to help. We want to create equity when it comes to financing and wealth.
Yes.
And so Wealth Building Wednesday is just an opportunity for us to bring folks to the information and to give people an opportunity to connect with experts in the field. So one of the things that we have talked about for a couple of episodes since during our fall season has started back in September, wanted to ask you about this S word called savings. So many times, we hear people say, oh, well, honey, I don't have enough money to save, because a lot of us, we're just trying to get the ends to wave at each other. They don't even have to meet, just be able to see each other and wave, be like, hey, Ian, right? But what we want to make sure of is that people understand the importance of saving. So, Demetrius, please, why is saving so important?
Yes, ma'am. Number one, saving is so important solely because you want to make sure that if anything happens, if you have like a shortfall or if you have an emergency or anything like that, you want to make sure that you have some type of savings to fall back on. And I like to use myself as an example. Previously went through a situation where I was sick and I was trying to actually cover ends meet, making sure that things were taken care of and making sure that I had all of my bills taken care of as well. So the reason why saving is so important is that you want to make sure that if there's anything that happens, or if you're actually just trying to stay afloat, you want to make sure that you have that savings account. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you're building that wealth and building that savings account to continue being in that safe spot. Because a lot of times when you don't have that savings account and something happens, you are trying to scramble, you're having to go try to borrow from someone, or you're having to either go to a payday lender, which is not the best thing to do, which is going to put you further into the hole. So having that savings account is very important for any type of situational need that you may have that may arise.
So now, when we're talking about savings, some of us may think, and I used to think that, when you talk about savings, that means that you have to have like thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in the bank. But it doesn't take all of that. If your monthly expenses, like, can you share a little, like, what should our target amount be for saving?
Yes, ma'am. So I look at it as, and this is across the board as well, your savings account should have at least three months of your income. So 3 months of your income, regardless of what your income bracket is, or where you fall within your income, you should at least have 3 months of your savings. That's going to cover your mortgage. That's going to cover your rent, your utility bills, car payments, and different things like that. So you at least want to have, again, that 3 months of your income in a savings account. Now, with that 3 months of income, again, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's bills are different. So you want to at least make sure that you have 3 months to cover any bills, utilities, or anything like that. So in that savings account.
So now that's great. 90 days worth of bills, 3 months, like you said, if you get sick or something happens, God forbid, this having 3 months of your income in an account would definitely help take the stress off of the
Yes.
situation. Yeah.
It would definitely take the stress off of the situation. Again, kind of piggybacking off of earlier, you don't want to be into that situation of where you're having to go to someone else, borrow funds, or either go to a payday lender to borrow those funds when you can simply just go to your savings account, pull those funds out, and then replenish them as time goes.
Absolutely. So now, what does it take to start saving? Because I know that, again, people are trying to make ends meet, inflation as it is and interest rates increasing,
Mhm.
it can sound kind of scary to try to save. So what does it take to start saving? Does it take a particular amount?
So I know it does sound it is scary to start saving, and it sounds scary to start saving as well. But everybody's situation is different. You never listen to what someone else may be saving. You start with what's comfortable with you, even if
Mhm.
that's $5 a month, $5 a week, and you will slowly graduate to once you start learning to save those funds, you'll slowly start saying, hey, I need to start putting more into my savings account. So starting with the savings account, you at least want to start with what's comfortable for you, what's comfortable for your budget. So sitting down, writing down all of your expenses, and then number one, paying yourself first, which is your savings account. So your
Mm.
savings account, again, you're going to start where you're comfortable at, whether that is $50 a month or $25 a month. And as you gradually start seeing that, hey, my savings account is growing, it's going to automatically click into your mind that, hey, I need to go ahead and start putting more into my savings account. And then again, that's going to click, and then you'll start saving more money. But to start off, you start off with what's comfortable for you. A lot of people say you need to at least put over half of your paycheck into an account, into your savings account. Again, that's not feasible for a lot of people
Right.
because in this day and age, especially with the inflation and everything that's going on, half of your paycheck may have already been taken up. So you have to do again what's comfortable for you, whether that's 25, $50 a month. And as you become sorry, as you start becoming comfortable with saving, you'll actually start graduating and start placing more money into savings. And then you'll learn, hey, me eating out this day, that money can go into my savings account. I can cook at home.
Mm.
Or me going out this weekend, that money can go into my savings account. So as you start saving, things are going to start populating into your mind. Hey, this money needs to go to my savings account.
You know what I hear you saying is that your priorities start to shift.
Correct. Your priorities will really start to shift. And again, I'll use myself as a lot. I used to travel all of the time. I used to do a lot of things. But then once I start utilizing and start building my savings account, I was like,
Mhm.
hey, my priority started shifting and I started placing more money into my savings account. So again, I started off with $25 a month. And then as I started to see my savings account starting to grow, that's when my
Mhm.
priorities started to shift. So you'll start to learn, hey, this savings account is something that I really, really need.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you are using yourself as an example, because it's important for folks to know that you don't have to start, where you may see somebody doing or saying what they're doing. You don't
Mhm.
have to start with what they're comfortable with. You can start with what you are comfortable with. And when you start, and I'm a living witness just like you, when you start seeing that savings account grow, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you better do that. So this is great information. For those of you all who are just tuning in, welcome to another edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. We're excited to have Mr. Demetrius Jennings from Hope Credit Union with us this morning. We are talking about banking, and we started the conversation with talking about savings. And so now, what about folks who may say that, okay, well, putting your money into a savings account really isn't worth the time? The interest paid on savings accounts just really is not a whole lot, like 0.000. And many times, we can catch ourselves, looking at the interest rate, which is important, right? There are some some accounts that carry more interest than others, interest earned rather than others. But what about those folks who would say putting money in a savings account would be a waste of time? Um, eh, how do we, like, how can we, and that we should probably like be making money with our savings, as opposed, as opposed to just putting it aside and waiting on this 0.01% of interest earned per month or per year. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad you actually brought that up. I recently had this conversation with someone over the weekend. They were like, "Well, why would I put my money into a savings account when I'm not earning anything? I'll just keep my money at home under my mattress." But there's multiple things that you have to look at when you're actually putting your money into a savings account. You may not be earning a lot. You may not earn a lot of interest on that, but you're earning some type of money
Hmm.
versus your funds sitting at home under your mattress or in a jar, or anything like that. You're not earning anything on your money just sitting at home. And then there comes that security risk as well. Now, with your funds being in a financial institution, whether it's with the credit union, you're going to be secured with that up to $250,000, or whether
Hmm.
it's going to be at another financial institution, you're also going to be secured under that up to $250,000. Again, as you spoke before, Ms. Chapman, there are interest bearing accounts that's going to earn you a little bit more interest than the 0.01%. Now, for me myself, I like to put my money wherever I'm going to earn some money. If it's just sitting somewhere and I'm not earning anything, which is like
Hmm.
most people say, hey, my money's just going to stay at home. You're not earning any money off of that, off of your funds sitting in a savings account. And number two, you're not actually your funds are not secured. So if anything happens, God forbid that, your funds are not protected versus at home versus in an actual financial institution. So with that, I always say whether you're earning some type of money, it's always best to have it in a financial institution. And as you're progressively growing your savings account, that's when you can actually start venturing off to those higher interest bearing accounts, like our money market account, certificates, and different things like
Hmm.
that. That's going to earn you a little bit more interest. But from the beginning, you have to start somewhere to get to those higher interest bearing accounts, because last thing you want to do is, again, keep your funds at home saying, hey, I'm not earning anything, I'm earning little, no money at all. But what happens if someone actually gets access to that money, or something, a natural disaster happens? All of your funds are gone. But versus your funds being in a financial institution, you may not earn a lot of interest starting off, but if anything happens, your funds are protected.
And so, just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Demetrius, FDIC, any of
Mhm.
those who have actually gone into a banking institution and seen those letters FDIC, has nothing to do with FICA or your paycheck, but
Yes,
that is actually the insurance that is provided, and is what Mr. Jennings is referring to.
correct.
So that up to $250,000. And now, why that's important is not just because of the insurance, but also think about the relationship that you're now building with that banking institution.
Correct.
So when it's time for home ownership, when it's time to buy a car, when it's time to send the kids off to college, you have that relationship with that banking institution. So we want to strongly encourage y'all, get your money out of the sock in the freezer, get your money out from under that mattress, put that Crown Royal bag. No, take take it to the bank, take it
Yes.
to a credit union. Hope Credit Union has locations across the Black Belt. You all are based, I know, in Jackson, Mississippi, but
Mhm.
you do have two locations, as a matter of fact, in Montgomery, which is not too far from Selma. It's not too far from many places because it's in the center of the state. So we want to strongly encourage you all, as you are listening, as you're watching, to make sure that, if even if you are just saving at home, please take that money out of that house, because, like Demetrius just said, what happens if someone is looking through your home, or, God forbid, someone tries to rob you, right? What happens if a natural disaster occurs? What happens if a house fire occurs, right? We want to make sure that you have your money where you can have access to it, and that you won't be limited by the ups and downs of life. So what about some strategies that you've seen? Are there any strategies that you have seen, other either yourself or other people use, that have has made them be successful in to start the saving process?
Yes, ma'am. So the strategies that I've seen people, including myself, use is always pay yourself first.
Okay.
Whether you're working hard for your own money, so regardless of your bills are still going to come, but you have to make sure you pay yourself. even if that, again, even if that's $5, $10 a month or $5, $10 a pay period, pay yourself. Sacrifice on going out sometimes. Sacrifice on
Mm,
eating out. Cook at home and actually being able to save those funds. That helps a lot with actually, again, when you're looking at eating out, if you eat out on a daily basis, $5, five times a week, $10 a day, that's lunch. That's $50 a week there that can actually go into your savings account. So you each strategy that you're looking at will actually deter different for each individual. So kind of going back to myself, I realized I used to love Starbucks every morning, going to Starbucks every 5 days a week. I was spending
wow.
$7 to $15 a day at Starbucks.
Hmm.
So realizing, hey, I can go buy a regular coffee maker, buy the coffee creamer from Starbucks, and just cut that cost in half. So cutting
Hmm.
that cost in half, I was able to start saving that money. And again, each individual strategy is going to be different because everyone's lifestyle is not the same.
Right.
So you have to choose what works best for you and what you're willing to cut back on to go ahead and start setting that strategy that you would like to utilize.
Awesome. I am so glad you mentioned eating out in the comments. I'm posting as you're speaking because some of these are just nuggets that we want people to walk away with. And so eating out and going out can literally be eating away at our opportunity to save. So we definitely want to make sure that we're not looking at saving as a restriction, but more so a way for us to get where we hopefully want to go, which is to build wealth. So
Correct.
now, how can saving or does saving impact our credit?
So saving can actually impact your credit. So and it can impact your credit in a positive and a negative way. So when you're looking at it, again, I'm going to kind of go back to what we were briefly talking about earlier. If you're in a situation of something happened, again, for be it job loss or anything like that, a health emergency, medical emergency, or anything like that, and you're having to miss work, you're having to miss time away from work again, those are time, and you don't have that time bank built up for any PTO or anything like that. That's time that you'll have to go away from work without pay. And most of the time, short-term disability can take up to 30 to 60 days to kick in. So if you're falling behind on your bills and different things like that, that's going to negatively impact your credit. So if you have those funds saved aside, at least 3 months of your income set aside for your expenses, that's going to positively help you continue to build your credit, because whether or not you're getting paid or you have that job loss or anything like that, you have that savings account that's going to back you for those 3 months. That's going to help you cover your expenses. So regardless of if you're having to make those minimum payments on things, that's still going to report positively towards your credit versus missing payments, which is going to negatively impact your credit. So savings overall can actually impact your credit in a positive or a negative way.
Awesome information. I tell you what, if you're just now tuning in to Wealth Building Wednesday, honey, go back to the beginning because he has been dropping these golden nuggets of information the entire time. And so that is an important thing to consider, the fact that saving can actually impact your credit score, which impacts so much.
Yes.
Our credit can impact whether we, get the job that we want, live in the neighborhood that we want to live in. And so all of these things work together, and they can work together to benefit us.
Yes.
So, what products or programs? So now let's get to the Hope Credit Union part. So now, what products or programs does Hope Credit Union have available to help customers save, and even things that may help us improve our credit scores?
Yes, ma'am. So the products that we have for to actually help you save, we have our membership share savings accounts, which are going to be your basic savings accounts. With those savings accounts, again, you can actually go ahead and start saving from day one. Number one with that is to open that account. There's a membership fee of $15, and an actual one-time deposit of a whole deposit of $25 is going to go into that account. So $10 that stays into the account at all times, and a $15 membership fee. That's $10 right there. That's going to help you start building your savings. Now, with products that we have to help you rebuild your credit, establish credit, or just basically getting your credit to where you want to, we have our borrow and save products. Our borrow and save product is a very great product to help you out regardless of what the need is or regardless of what situation you're in at the time. The borrow and save is going to help you in three ways. Up front, we'll give you the borrower and say we'll give you $1,000 up front. We'll give you $500, and over a 12-month time frame, as you're paying that loan, it's going to help you build your credit. It's going to help you. It's going to report to positively to all three of your credit bureaus. And at the end of that 12-month time period, we're going to place the other $500 in your savings account again, which is setting you up for the future with your savings. So that product, again, it's going to help you in the three ways. It's going to give you the $500 for the need that you have up front over 12 months, making those payments on time, not being late. That's going to report positively to all three of your credit bureaus, which is going to build your credit, number one. And then number three is actually going to go ahead and give you that other $500 at the end of that loan to have set up into that savings account for any future needs that you may have. And we also have our auto loans, and then we have our credit cards and different types of personal loans we have as well. We also have a mortgage product of where you can actually purchase a home with a minimum of a 580 FICO credit score. Now, with that home, you get up to $200,000, $200,000 plus with zero closing costs, no PMI, which is the mortgage insurance that most financial institutions will place on there.
Require.
There'll be no PMI, and then we can actually help you when it comes to getting grants and different things like that for your down payment and closing costs. So with those products, again, there's no one who can actually help touch with the 580 minimum for the affordable housing program that we have. No one can actually touch that. A lot of people have similar programs, but those programs do not work as how we have them geared here for Hope Credit Union as well.
You know what? And I'm so excited about all of the products that you just mentioned. The borrow and save loan product, right? Now
Yes, ma'am.
that one, so some of this, and people know that I've been working with Hope Credit Union for a long time. We've had other guests on from Hope Credit Union, and that borrow and save loan product is so important because you mentioned payday lending in the beginning when we started talking about savings and things like that, and the fact that having a savings account can keep you out of the payday lenders. That
Yes.
borrow and save loan product, y'all, can literally help you get out of a hole that you
Yes.
may have dug your way into using like a title loan or payday lender. Those predatory lending products are charging you way more than even credit cards charge you to borrow money. So, I mean, you're talking about stuff that to me should be illegal, interest rates that should be illegal, and
Definitely.
oftentimes can get you caught up in a cycle, right? Because you're not able to make those, make payments beyond what the minimum payment is. But that borrow and save loan product, by getting that $500 up front to finish out whatever bills or what have you, it may be a payday loan that you had for $350. You get that 500, you pay that out, and as you start to pay that 500 back, it is reported. Hope Credit Union reports to every single one of the three credit bureaus, y'all. This literally helps you build your credit and your savings, because then you turn around and you have a whole savings account with $1,000 in it when you get finished paying for it. So you can't beat that. Look, like my grandmama used to say, can't beat it with a stick. So we want to encourage people literally to go out and make way to Hope Credit Union to find out more about this borrow and save loan product. Also, home ownership.
Yes.
One of the greatest things that we can do to close the wealth gap in our country is to be investors in land. So whether it is a home or whether it is vacant property, this is an important opportunity. So now the product that he's referring to, though, if you have a credit score of 580, they can literally walk you through the steps to help you get up to $200,000 in a mortgage with no down pay. Well, no pay. You can help find assistance for the down payment,
Mhm.
but
Yes.
no PMI. So you don't have all of these extra expenses that you would experience at other financial institutions. And $200,000 in most areas that you all cover, that's a pretty nice home.
Yes, and it necessarily doesn't have to be in our footprint. If you have to go outside of our footprint to find a home, you can actually utilize that as well. Um, and actually, I'm getting ready to go through that process myself because
Okay.
it's a great program. Even if you have a higher credit score than that, we also have the traditional lending as well when it comes to the mortgages. So
Okay.
even if you have that 640 to 620 or anything like that, still come see us over at Hope. We'll gladly get you taken care of. And then, kind of to piggyback what you were saying earlier, Miss Chapman,
Mhm.
with the payday lending is like a cycle. It's like I call it a black hole. Once you get into that payday lending, it's hard to get out of, because if you go get $300, that's 350 or 375 that you have to pay back. So every pay period, you're having to go back and you're having to go pay $375, and then you're getting $300 back. So that's $75 that you're losing. Versus with our borrow and save, that $75 could actually be going towards a monthly payment that's helping you build your credit and helping you get to the point that you want to have, which is overall having that savings account at the end and having that $500 in that savings account at the end.
Absolutely. So now I know we're almost out of time. Wanted to ask you about some of the best ways that some of us who are living on a fixed income can start to build wealth.
Yes, ma'am. To the best ways to act for individuals living on a fixed income to start building wealth is number one, again, going through your budget plan, writing
Mm,
down everything that you have to pay on a monthly basis, which is going to be your mortgage, your rent, your utility bills, and different things like that, and actually finding areas of that you can possibly cut out, which is going to be possibly the eating out, different things like going to the movies and stuff like that, that you can actually utilize and do at home, or just find different things that's going to be free for you, or that's going to be lower than what you're actually spending to go to the movies, or again, finding a cheaper alternative.
mm,
So to build that wealth, again, working through your budget, working through what works best for you. If that's having to cut back on eating out, or if that's having to take your lunch every day to work, or if that's having to, hey, I can't go out this weekend. I can actually go out another time, but I need to start focusing my priorities on putting money into my savings and building that wealth. So for individuals who are on a fixed income, I'm going to kind of go back to that, is making sure you go through your budget. Any way that you see that you have extra money that you're just going to possibly blow, just go ahead and throw that into a savings account, and then not even pay attention to that savings account, because eventually you're going to start seeing that savings account grow. You're going to start seeing your wealth grow as well. So just finding that extra income and that extra money that you have, even if it's $5, $10, just go ahead and put that into the savings account, and you'll be amazed how fast that will grow.
I'm so glad that you have continued to mention this word priorities throughout our conversation. The fact that you can start very small, whether it's five, $10 a week, $10 a month, to start the habit of saving, which then can allow you to see your money grow.
Correct.
People say that seeing is believing, right? And so when you log into your banking app, or you go to the bank and you get your deposit slip and you see the balance start to increase, it really can be not just a great thing for your personal finances, but y'all, it can actually impact your mental health.
Correct.
It can impact how you show up in the world. When you're confident that, okay, I literally have been able to save up enough money to make sure that, not if I, God forbid, I lose my job, right? For at least 3 months, I know I have a cushion where I can go out and I can do a thorough job search, so that I'm not caught up in a position that I don't really want to go to, right? Because that's the other thing. It's like, a lot of, we do the work, but do you enjoy the work that you're doing? So
Exactly.
we're excited to have you be a part of this broadcast. We definitely will have you back again and again. We love Hope Credit Union, honey. Listen.
Thank you. Thank
But
you.
one of the things I want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to do is to reach out to you.
Yeah.
So, Demetrius, if people wanted to reach out to you to learn more, whether it's about the borrow and save programs, or about home mortgages, how would I be able to get in touch with you?
Yes, ma'am. So there's two ways to get in contact with me. I'm in and out of the office a lot. So the best way to get in contact with me is going to be on my work mobile, which is that number is going to be 334-590-5635. That's going to be my direct line, which is going to be to my work mobile. Again, I'm in and out of the office a lot. So that's going to be the best way to get in contact with me. Or if you choose to email, you can email me at demetrius.jennings@hopecu.org, and I'll respond back to you as soon as I can. You are more than welcome to text me on my work mobile as well. If you prefer to text or you prefer to email, you can do that as well. And those are the
Awesome.
best ways to get in contact with me.
Awesome. So if you missed it, the information is on your screen. Again, Demetrius Jennings is accessible on his work cell. His direct line is 334-590-5635. You can call or text that number, and he'll be glad to help you navigate your way through all of the products that Hope Credit Union offers. Again, thank you so much for taking time out today to be with us.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was no problem at all. I like to give out all of the information that I can regarding wealth and
Yes.
other things as well. Because number one thing I want to do is make sure that we're all building wealth and making sure that we're all taking ownership of different things that we don't have. A
Yes.
lot of us don't have access to. So that's the number one thing. That's what I strive for, and that's our mission here at Hope, is to be in the underserved banking areas as well.
Absolutely. Hope gives people hope, y'all.
Yes,
So
most
make
definitely.
sure you reach out. Again, we want to thank you for being here, Mr. Jennings. We want to thank Hope Credit Union for all of the things that you all are doing in and around your service communities. We want to thank you, the viewers and the listeners, to Wealth Building Wednesday. We broadcast every single Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. These videos, if you are logged in on Facebook or YouTube, you can share them. So if you've heard something that you want to share with someone you know, always feel free to pick up the link, and you can share it via email, via text. You can share it on your own Facebook or YouTube channel. So we do look forward to seeing you again on next Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. for another live edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. And until next Wednesday, we want to encourage you to get out here and start building your wealth.
Yes, most